One of the most famous lines from the film Halloween was, "The darkest souls are not those which choose to exist within the hell of the abyss, but those which choose to break free from the abyss and move silently amongst us." So, once upon a time. Clifton Heights rose majestically from the hills that overlooked the city. 30 stories of the city's most expensive real estate. If the security let you in, you would find Jaguars, Lamborghinis, and Porsches strewn around the car park. Revolving doors would throw you into a plush marble foyer with a suited concierge who might smile at you if you are rich. Banks of elevators would transport you to the doorstep of the rich, and on some floors, even the famous. It was perhaps for that reason that Mr. Hawthorne's murder made the headlines. He was found in the elevator, the one at the end of the corridor, in the early hours of the morning, and under the most curious circumstances. The concierge was the first to witness the gory sight. All the blood had been sucked out of Mr. Hawthorne. He lay in a heap, white as chalk, his eyes whiter minus the eyeballs. It was like someone had put a pump to him and sucked out his blood. Perhaps even more curious was the absence of puncture marks. No clue what the instrument of assault could be. The forensics were boggled. The police was boggled by the lack of evidence. Not one iffy character anywhere on the premise was caught by the CCTV cameras. The media had the ammunition to last a month with this one. The residents were worried. What should become of them if the threat was not from the outside, but from one of them? Something had to be done. Mrs. Strauss banged the gavel. She brought the meeting of the residents to attention. It was obvious that the authorities were clueless. They had to fend for themselves. Jonas from the 6th floor had a cunning plan. Only one family at a time should be allowed to ride the elevator. There was a chorus of acceptance. Mrs. Strauss hit the gavel hard to pass a resolution to the effect. It worked. The murderer had been carefully isolated. He could either kill his family members or then not at all. The police kept their investigations going, but the media began to cool off a bit. 2 weeks later, at 3 a.m, the concierge found Mrs. Strauss lying on her stomach in the elevator. When he turned her around, he saw that her skin and her eyes were whiter than death itself. Jonas chaired the meeting of the Clifton Heights residents. 1 minute's silence on the death of Mrs. Strauss, followed by 10 minutes of mayhem over the two murderers, who was killing and why, and more importantly, how. The police were absolutely clueless. How was this kind of murder even possible? Sucking a human dry without even a wound. Kathy from the 10th floor spoke evenly through the chaos. What if it was not a human hand? What if this was a spiritual occurrence? That was the only explanation, and everyone knew it. Mr. Rochester pointed out that both the killings were in the same elevator. What if there was a spirit in the elevator shaft, running through the entire height of the building? That sent a shiver through the gathering. Was it not the same elevator where the film actress overdosed and died 6 months ago? Jonas suggested they call the priest from the parish to bless the premises. Everyone agreed. Father Sebastian came around after Mass on Sunday. The residents stood gaping in wonder while Father Sebastian blessed the hall and the areas around the elevator with the holy water. Almost all of them gasped in horror when they noticed hot vapor rise from where the holy water touched the walls of the cursed elevator. Most of them heard a low groan. Father Sebastian assured them that all would be well, now that the Lord had blessed the premises. Jonas died 3 days later in the very same elevator, in the very same way. The meeting of the residents was an affair of long, stretched silences. They were living a nightmare. Not all that has failed. Perhaps we should try psychometry, suggested Mr. Rochester. He noticed a lot of raised eyebrows. It's a psychic process by which one can touch an object and learn everything about the energies that surround it. Now that we have tried it all, what do we have to lose? Argued Mr. Rochester. No one argued back. Tim Thomas was a psychometric professional from a very young age, and the residents sought his services to end the ordeal. Tim arrived late on Tuesday night, and there was a large group of residents to welcome him and watch him work. In absolute silence, they watched him feel the air around the objects in the foyer. He walked to the last elevator in the corridor, almost drawn to it. The residents watched as the elevator doors were held open to aid him feel the energy inside it. He suddenly began to sweat, and his hands began to shake. Then he screamed out loud, "Oh my God, this elevator is alive. It has a life." The door shut on him, and even before he could think of stepping out, the residents could swear they heard an evil laugh behind the doors.